Alright, this is Coach Nefarious, and I wanted to show you some warding spots and warding mechanics. No, mostly just spots. There's not a whole lot of mechanics to warding. Well, the one thing that not everyone is aware of is that there's a line or a circle around the ward that indicates how far it's going to see. And what some people might say, look at this. Do you see how this bloom, how this lighted up area, right, goes further than what's indicated over here? So which one is correct? Well, I can tell you right now. You can test that. I don't even need to tell you the answer. Let's just test it, right? Trial and error. Where's the target dummies at? Enemy target dummy. Shift B. Oh, and then I need to get the hell away from here, right? So, let's get me over here. See that? See? So, target dummy. This is a lighted up area, right? We can all agree on that. Ta-da! And you can't see it. So, there you go. Alright, now let's recover that warding spot. Clear all target dummies. Alright. And find the correct spot for it again. You can see sometimes you can draw a straight line towards something and figure out whether it's going to hit it. Sometimes, though, the visuals don't entirely match the hitboxes that determine the vision. Like, there's a terrain surrounding League of Legends that sort of lies underneath what you can see, right? So there's a grid. There's a grid here that you can't see that kind of aligns with the visuals. But for example, this little bump over here, you might actually sometimes be able to figure out when you're walking, you can figure out what that grid is like. Sometimes you can walk into something, sometimes you get bounced very quickly, right? And it varies a little bit. Like here, I can sometimes stand almost inside the terrain, right? And it varies a little bit on camera angle, so the camera might tell you there's a straight line, but oh, if you change it up, it's not. So you gotta figure that out. So trial and error is important in these things. Anyway, let's just stand over here again. I wish I need to level myself up to... Alright. There we go. Alright. So that gives me longer wards. Anyway, so let's spawn a dummy and see what happens, right? So this. Is this in vision? Yes, it is. This is not in vision, though. So you can see that this is the edge of vision here that we're working with. You can only have so many dummies here, but you see the gist of it, right? So if you were to do it like this, you're not going to see those guys, right? So you need to be really accurate with this spot and just barely see the wolves, right? And figure out that spot where it's just perfect, you know? You can see this. This is going to see a lot, this one. Shift B. You can see all the way to... Look at this. Here you can't see. Here you can see. Okay, see that? So how many junglers? Let's say I walk to my blue buff, right? I press ghost. Alright, so I'm walking to my blue buff, right? I already got spotted by that ward, right? Let's say I walk through here. I obviously get spotted over walls. So I would literally need to walk like this. Well, those things are blocking me. This is not a good demonstration, guys. Alright, you get the point though, right? If I walked like that, I could probably avoid it. So, what's my point here? My point is, this is going to, 99% of the time, catch someone just going straight to their blue. So it almost entirely covers this ledge. The only way this is not going to work is if they know you got this ward over here. Right? They know you're going to go for this ward. Let's say you always do this in scrims and they prep, they watch the replays and they see you do this ward all the time. That's when you can start avoiding it. In solo queue, go for this ward. It's perfect. Let me give some other examples. Now that the concept is clear, I'll go over the other ones much, much faster. Right. How do I clear these wards, though? Let's see. So, clear all these. So, you can do the same thing over here. Usually the margins, this ward is one of the most difficult wards to figure out. You really need to know the details of camera angles if you're approaching it like this, you might get it wrong, right? You need to know exactly where you want this to be, right? And you might fuck it up otherwise. This one is a lot easier, right? Just one is like target dummy over here. Oh, whoops. Target dummy over here. Yes, please. Right, target dummy over here. See that? This is like the ledge if someone does wolves. La 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 la. They walk out. Right? Let's say they're like, oh, I don't want to do my wolves. I just want to go to this bomb plant. Then they got vision over here. Let me stand over here. I want to walk over to this bomb plant. Right, and you can see them going over here. Oh, boop, he bomb planted 2 wolves. You can still see that, right? So you cover this ledge over here. You cover that little loop-de-loop towards the bomb plant, and you cover the entire wolf camp. So again, if you instead place it over here, clear all the target dummies real quick. Alright, so now there's a chance, depending on how exactly you position this, is like, okay, these hotkeys, man, they're really screwing me over here. Look at this, someone's walking over here towards this bomb plant, and you had no idea that they went to blue, because I would be over here, and then you can't see them. Right? So, can't see him going to blue in that case. Right, so this is not ideal in my mind. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. You do get more neutral vision on both sides. If someone's like walking in here, you have a wider range. Usually if someone kites their wolves, you can usually see their intention. If they're kiting it all the way up here, again, unless they know you have a ward that only covers one particular type of vision, they're usually going to just kite it towards their next location, right? So again, you can get predicted on. Sometimes it's better to go for neutral spots, but before that ever happens, I would say this is a bad ward because it's too passive. It doesn't cover either of these interesting ledges, right? The path towards blue or the path towards the bomb plant or potentially towards river over here. Alright. So we could repeat this process for all of these things. So for example, you get... So it's not about... if you understand that the wards generally want to cover certain ledges, right, where people can't really reasonably cross. For example, this one is very unlikely that someone's gonna literally hide over in this very, very ledge. Let's see over here, right? So you can't see someone that really sneaks past like this. This is a path that they could take. So if you wanted to prevent that, you would just have to ward a little bit more conservatively. Ta-da! And that captures all of these, right? So just for the sacrifice, like a little bit over here. So usually I just to put it safely. You want to ward on autopilot. You don't want to spend 100 billion years thinking about this. This one's the only one you have to pay conscious attention to, in my opinion. But this one you can do it conservatively because you're only sparing like a ½ an inch here, right? You're not gonna see the wolves unless they're being kited anyway here. So this is one that covers, I mean, a billion different ways of cruising through your jungle from camp to camp instead of seeing one actual camp being taken, right? If I were to clear this camp, I usually would probably clear it like this, right? Let's say I only had Q. Well, I just used something else in Q, so that kind of neglects what I just said, but you get the gist of it, right? And then the idea is that usually, unless I'm purposefully trying to avoid these, I'm gonna kite into these camps, right? Into the ward, I mean. Kite the camp into the vision of the ward. If you don't get here, you could also place it over the wall here. Automatic camp spawn, please. Where is that? Spawn jungle camps. Ta-da! Alright. So. Win the game. Now that's funny. If only that option was in the real game. I didn't know you could place it this far to the left. That's why we're doing this. I'm learning as well. Wait, why did that... Ta-da! Okay, so this is right around the edge. So you can see it's based on the center, right? This still covers a part of the visual of the gromp, right? So if you look at the entirety of the grump, it still catches a part of its skin, but that's not how League of Legends coding works, right? It is a video game, not actual physics. So you have to look at the center of what you're targeting, and in this case, you can see that the center is right over here, right? This is right over here. Let's put a ward on that. It doesn't allow us to put the ward perfectly on the center, of course. Right over here is where it is. So that's where you need to put your ward in order to spot the grump, right? See that? That just barely catches the grump. And if I moved it over to the left from here, it stops seeing the grump. Alright. See that? So I actually bamboozled you by going in here with my champion for a second. But you can see that this works. Alright. So, that covers the visual indicator versus what League of Legends Bloom here looks like what lights up. Don't trust what lights up, trust the indicator over here. So if you're ever doubting, like, wait, can I see someone over here? Oh no, I can't, right? That's one mechanic that you need to be aware of. The next one is that you need to figure out which ledges you can get and whether they're difficult or not. This one you want to practice in a practice tool if you're not entirely sure of where to put it. This one is easy, right? Like, I can put it over here. It's gonna cover these two ledges. There's no real reason to put it right over here. Sometimes, if you just want to cover the wolves and you don't have enough time or you're afraid someone's gonna hit the bomb plant and kill you, right? You can just put it halfway over the ledge. These little ledges over here, if you put it more than halfway through, it's gonna hit to the other side. So in that case, you might not get all these perfect ledges, but you're essentially cutting down on how deep you need to go into the jungle. Which is sometimes a matter of time, and sometimes a matter of not getting killed. Yeah, so that's the same thing with this Gromp ward. Sometimes this ward is usually better, but you don't always have the time. So this still covers most of the time the blue buff, and if someone kites Gromp perfectly towards the bottom, you're still gonna spot that, right? So this one, yeah, sometimes people are gonna kite it like this. It's possible, right? So if I put a target dummy over here, and put myself out of range, you can see that doesn't get spotted, right? So he would have to kite a little bit inwards. So you can't possibly get both of these at the same time, right? You have to make a gamble somewhere here. Right, so now we get into river. One neutral spot. If you know someone can't scale terrain and they also don't have a bomb plant, you can sometimes just cover the center. So just make you want to hit this ledge. Usually if you see them crossing over here, the only other question is when they walk through here for Drake, or if they walk through here like this, checking for Scuttle. So usually I would place it over here, so that if someone checks for Scuttle on this side, you still get them. It's just a simple trade-off right there. Sometimes you can't go that deep and you still want vision on Scuttle, so what you can do is a little bit of a hybrid ward. Sometimes you just gotta be really safe. So you can't get into this area of the brush. Danger. Oh, this. Look at how treacherous this is. See this? Right? So I'm putting it over here, and it's still falling towards the other side. So there's a cutoff somewhere, right? And it's right over here. So see how much camera angle really screws you over here, because right now this looks like it's still in the center, right? Like before the center. Well, if I do it over here, then this is the center. And you can see how you have to go further left. So the camera angle plays into this, right? If you approach it from the left, you have to place it, approach this part with the camera on the right? So this is on your left side. Then you need to put your ward more towards the right side. Right, that's the same thing if you want to see someone under turret, they're over here, you want to click them, but you can't. Spawn target dummy over here. Let's say sometimes people kite over here, right? Let's clear these. So let's see, they sent really close to the turret like this. Sometimes I can't reliably click on them if this is an enemy turret, right? This is obviously my own turret. But what you can do is, if you look at this, see how you get a clear view on the target dummy here? Again, this is playing around the camera angle mechanics. See that? It makes a difference. Sometimes it can get you a kill. Right, well, if you approach it from here, it's almost impossible to distinguish the two. If you will approach from here, how are you going to click on this reliably? It's not going to happen. Alrighty. So. Alrighty, so I've just about had it with all these different wards. There's also pink wards. Usually you just want to do the same concept of where you want to put them. Sometimes you can put them really deep to if you want to bait someone. That's a little thing, but otherwise it's just about vision, right? Where you want that vision. And then you want to usually place it in brushes. Sometimes you can place a pink ward over here, right? Just so that you cover vision over here. Sometimes you want to push, but you only have one ward, and that's a pink ward. So then you can do this. That's just a little trade-off you can make, right? Whether that's a good ward or not. So, yeah. So I just explained this one. Let me continue this last ward in river, right? I forgot to finish that point. So, so this really gets vision on everything. Oh, that's funny mechanic. So, this is a good example of a ward that extends all the way to... See that? It still captures the scuttle over here. It captures the scuttle over here. And captures the ridge over here. Right? So you're getting both of those points in. That's what you want out of this ward. This is one I've seen in competitive numerous times as well. As an alternative to this central ward over here. It also captures people that are coming in from here. Let's say they have terrain scaling, but they can't get into this brush directly. Yeah, I mean, they usually can, right? So this is really exceptional. I really don't know if there's any scenario in which that would be relevant. So, that's... I scrap that. That's too theoretical, too fringe. It's never gonna happen. There we go. They never saw it coming. Alright, so that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this super in-depth tutorial on wards, and I will see you in the next iteration of ranting about wards.